about Progesys. Can you elaborate more about Progesys and how its business is in Indonesia?
Progesys are a project management consultancy firm based in Montreal in Canada. And we've set up our own office here in Indonesia since 2023. And we see Indonesia as a very important part of our global growth strategy. Indonesia has a wealth of energy sectors that we operate in, and one of the main sectors that we focus on is the mineral extraction and petrochemical sectors. We see there's a huge potential here in Indonesia in these two sectors. So this is why we have set up our regional hub covering all of Southeast Asia.
Okay, Paul. As you mentioned, basically Progesys is a project management company that focuses on helping projects reach their full potential.
Correct.
And you know, nowadays, like companies are expected or encouraged to become more implement or adopt ESG.
Yeah.
So how is ESG and why ESG concept is important for the global investing?
So ESG stands for environmental, social and governance. It basically assesses a company's performance in terms of environmental protection, social issues and corporate governance. ESG reporting is basically the disclosure of information in these three key areas. It measures the sustainability and impact on society of an investment in a business. The EU is a main driver of ESG strategies globally, as they are committed to being carbon neutral by 2050 and will require all third country firms to be operating within the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, which is the CSRD. And that needs to be implemented by the 1st of January 2028, which isn't far off. So additionally, ESG has an impact on companies' revenues and profitability. As of 77% of millennials are concerned about the environmental impact of the products that they buy. So there's no surprise that investors are increasingly considering ESG factors as they can influence the long-term risk and profitability of their investments.
Paul, how does Progesys Indonesia view the importance of ESG in the context of investment in Indonesia?
So Progesys International Indonesia views ESG as critical for sustainable development and long-term investment success in Indonesia. By integrating ESG factors, we can ensure that investments not only generate financial returns, but also contribute positively to environmental conservation, social equality, and appropriate governance practices. This approach aligns with global investment trends and helps attract international investors who are increasingly prioritizing ESG criteria.
Well, how does the implementation of ESG increase the competitiveness of Indonesian companies, particularly in the global market?
So implementing ESG can enhance the reputation of Indonesian companies, making them more attractive to global investors who prioritize sustainable practices. For example, 85% of investors now take ESG factors into consideration when making important investment decisions. So for CFOs of large Indonesian companies who trade internationally, they will already understand the importance of ESG compliance and how this could impact their attractiveness to foreign investors. There are additionally spin-offs from the implementation of ESG initiatives, such as operational efficiencies, lower costs, and reduce risks by addressing environmental and social issues proactively. Additionally, strong governance practices can improve decision-making and compliance, further enhancing competitiveness.
All right, interesting. In Progesys' point of view, to what extent have companies in Indonesia adopted ESG standards in their operations so far?
That's a great question. So the adoption of ESG standards in Indonesia is growing. As I mentioned, CFOs with companies who deal internationally recognize the benefits and importance of integrating these practices into their day-to-day operations. However, The level of adoption varies across sectors and companies, with larger firms and those with international exposure typically being more advanced. There's still significant potential, we feel, for broader, deeper ESG integration across the business landscape at this time.
All right. In your opinion, what are the biggest challenges that faced by companies in Indonesia in implementing ESG concept, practices that need to be addressed?
In my opinion, the biggest challenges are lack of awareness and understanding of ESG principles, limited local resources with the expertise to implement and monitor ESG initiatives, and uncertainty around the regulations and the need for a cultural shift towards making sustainability a priority. There is also the challenge that smaller companies may struggle with a potential perception of the costs and complexities associated with adopting ESG practices. However, this isn't necessarily the case if these practices can start small and increase gradually as the company grows.
All right. What is the role of the Indonesian government in encouraging ESG adoption in the business sector?
So, what we see, the Indonesian government is pivotal and plays a crucial role in creating the regulations and frameworks that encourages ESG adoption by providing incentives for sustainable practices and ensuring transparency and accountability. Government policies and initiatives can also raise awareness and build capacity among businesses to implement ESG standards effectively.
Okay, Paul, as we know, many businesses still need a more robust understanding of the potential benefits of ESG and also practical strategies for implementation. So, what steps are taken by Progesys Indonesia to increase understanding and awareness ESG among the local businesses?
So, within having worked both in oil and gas and mining sectors, I know them well. Both sectors typically have international exposure, hence they're advanced in their ESG journey. So due to the strict government regulations, investor demands and global media spotlight, and have been implementing ESG practices for a long time, applying the framework used by the oil and gas and mining companies could help businesses in other sectors in Indonesia who are looking to develop their strategies and accelerate their ESG journeys. Another strategy that's commonly used by larger companies is to cross-pollinate their boardrooms by bringing in non-executive directors from different sectors. They may bring different perspectives, and they've been involved previously with companies who have successfully implemented ESG policies into their operations.
All right, Paul.